Hello. Time is 7:14 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, April the 11th. This is going to be in two parts. This is a full court case. It's a 2-hour-long video. So I'm going to break it up in two parts, because I don't want you to listen to it for 2 hours and 20 seconds without taking the break. So we're going to do it in two parts of where he was in court with his wife, and I say 2 daughters. So I'm recording it on my cell phone. I try to use StreamYard. I've been experimenting with it, but I can't get it to show on my screen like the rest of the people. So I'm going to turn this around, hit the subscribe bell, hit the thumbs up. I gotta turn my scanner down. There is his wife and I think his daughter. So here we go.
We would just ask that the procedures in Indiana Code 34-47-3-7 and ask for the appointment of a special judge relative to the requirements.
Sorry about the audio in the first 4 minutes of it. It's my fault.
There's one simple sugar hack anyone can do to balance glucose levels almost overnight.
Anyone who's been on metformin for...
And are you familiar with that residence? Have you been there before?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell, I'm showing you what's been marked for identification purposes as State's Exhibit 1. Would you take a look at State's Exhibit 1?
Okay,
What is State's Exhibit 1?
that's 3001 Otay Bridge. Jamey Noel's residence.
Is that the same address you just were speaking about assisting with the search warrant on March 13th?
It is.
Does that appear to be truly and accurately reflective of the outside of the residence on Otay Bridge?
It does.
No objection to State's Exhibit 1, Your Honor.
So State's Exhibit number 1 admitted without objection.
The other state moved to admit.
Admitted.
Detective, were you in charge of the search warrant or the scene at Old Tate Bridge Road on March 13th?
I was not.
And who were you taking direction from?
Lieutenant Jeff Herron with the Indiana State Police.
Did you have any contact with the defendant, Jamey Noel, on that day?
I saw him, but I didn't communicate with him.
Did you have any conversation at all?
I did not.
What was your role once you got to Tate Bridge and you went into the home?
To help search.
And do you recall what you were searching for?
We were searching for Tom James suits and apparel, shoes, belts.
Were you searching for anything else with respect to Tom James' clothing?
Any receipts or documents associated with those items.
Were you provided any type of lists of apparel items or things that you were specifically looking for?
I was.
Who provided that to you?
Lieutenant Jeff Herron.
Was that prior to the search or once you got to Tabor Ridge?
Once we got to the location.
How was it decided where you were going to be searching specifically yourself?
We just kind of communicated upstairs once the scene was secured, and I volunteered to go downstairs and start in the basement.
Can you describe the basement to the judge?
Your Honor, when you walk down into the basement, it opens up into a large living room type area, family room. There's another door that if you continue down the stairs, it goes into a back room, which is a movie theater area. And then I focused my search to the left when you walked into the back room, which was a table area where there was some Tom James suits and apparel.
Was the basement a finished basement or a concrete basement?
Well, it was finished with the exception of one part, which was kind of storage. There were shelves in there.
Were there any living areas in the basement?
I do believe there was at least one bedroom downstairs.
Did you go to the basement alone or with any other troopers and or other state police employees?
I don't remember if I was down there alone at any one given time, and I don't remember who went with me. There were various
Sorry
people who came
about
down
that,
with me during the
people.
search.
Detective, I'm showing you what's been marked for identification purposes. States Exhibits 2, 3, 4. Do you recognize States 2, 3, and 4?
I do.
What are they?
These are pictures of the area. When you come down the stairs and go into the back room to the left, this is the table and the area of where I focused my initial search in the basement.
So 2, 3, and 4 are a basement area?
Correct.
Why did you go to this specific area? Were you searching for something specific there?
Well, when I first got to the residence, Mr. Noel took Lieutenant Herron downstairs. I followed, and he was showing Lieutenant Herron where the areas in the house where there were Tom James suits and apparel, and that was one of the areas that he pointed out. And I was present when that happened, and that's why I focused my search down there. Not to mention, you could also see some containers, little shopping bags that were John or Tom James apparel bags. So that's why I focused my search there.
Did the defendant specifically show you and Detective Herron this location?
He did.
Do those truly and accurately reflect the area in the basement where he directed you to?
It does.
Your Honor, we do not have any objection to States Exhibit 2, 3, and 4.
State would move to admit States 2, 3, and 4, Your Honor.
States Exhibits 2, 3, and 4 admitted without objection.
Your Honor, if I can use these with the
You may.
witness. I want to direct your attention to States Exhibit 2, Detective. Did you take the photograph?
I did not.
But does it truly and accurately reflect what you saw there?
It does.
Okay. I want to direct your attention specifically to a black object sticking out of a box.
Okay.
Did you see this object when you were conducting your search?
I did.
What is it?
The shotgun.
Was that shotgun examined in any way, shape, or form?
It was. I looked to see if it was loaded.
And why did you do that?
Well, I mean, I'm in that area searching, and firearms are dangerous.
Did that cause you any kind of concern if there was a shotgun there?
It did not.
Now, the States 3 and 4, these two photographs focus on a white box with a black box inside of those. Do you recognize those as well?
I do.
And is that how they looked when you saw them?
They do.
Okay. Did you look inside of that large white box?
I did.
Okay, for what purpose?
We're looking for any receipts, documents, belts, and other apparel.
Okay. Did anything cause you any type of concern in that box?
Well, when I moved the chair out, inside that box was 2 Smith & Wesson boxes, which Smith & Wesson is a firearm.
And that's something you're familiar with, being a police officer for nearly 30 years?
I am.
Smith & Wesson is a brand.
It is.
Did you examine the contents of the box?
I did.
And what was inside the box?
2 firearms, handguns.
Did they appear to be loaded?
I don't believe they were.
Once you noticed these 2 firearms, what did you do?
I notified Detective Chris Hansen and Lieutenant Jeff Herron.
And just for the record purposes, Detective, you're talking about in State's Exhibit 2, the center of the picture, white box, black box, and inside of it with you can at least see it says Smith on it.
Yes,
And then in State's Exhibit 3, you're talking about the white box on the chair.
yes.
Okay. Why did you notify Detective Herron once you located these 2 firearms?
Well, it was my responsibility to let him know, having been here for the initial hearing and hear the judge ordered the defendant only possess a shotgun. When I found the firearms, it was my responsibility to notify the lead detective, Lieutenant Jeff Herron, and I did.
Obviously, those 2 Smith & Wesson were not shotguns.
They were not.
You saw a shotgun there and it didn't cause you any concern other than to make sure it was unloaded.
Correct.
You stated that you were here for a initial hearing with this particular defendant, with this particular judge.
I was.
Were you present when he was
Sorry about the
told
shaking.
what he could keep and what he couldn't keep?
Yes,
Is that why you contacted Detective Herron?
it was.
Did you physically take these guns into your possession at the time?
I did not.
Ultimately, did the Indiana State Police take them into their possession?
They did.
Detective, states 2, 3, and 4 that Mr. Wilder.
Mr. Wilder, 1, 2.
Yes.
It states 2, 3, and 4. The chair was partially pushed under a table at the time, or all the way under the table?
I believe it was all the way under the table.
Okay. The items that were located on top of the table, did you examine any of those items?
I did.
What were some of those items?
There were, what I recall mainly was a cowboy hat and cowboy western footwear, boots.
Did they appear to be men's, women's, or you couldn't tell?
I think men's.
And this is the area that the defendant directed you, Detective Herron, to.
Correct.
Did you find any Tom James apparel, suits,
I love his glasses.
shoes, or anything like that in that particular area as well?
I did.
Your Honor, I don't have any other questions for Detective Mitchell.
Cross-examination.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, Detective. I want to talk to you a little bit about your role. You got on March 13th, you were asked to get a search warrant together, is that it?
I did.
Okay. And when you do that, how do you do that? You call somebody?
I was called by Lieutenant Jeff Herron sometime that morning. He told me he was going to be executing a search warrant and asked me that if I would get a couple troopers and a couple detectives.
How many troopers did you go into that house with?
2 troopers.
And how many detectives?
I believe 4.
Okay, so you got 6 people plus yourself.
Well, there was a crime scene technician as well, and I believe there was
That's
someone
7.
there. Pardon me?
That's 7. Who
Okay.
else?
There would have been someone there from State Board of Accounts as well.
Okay. Do you normally, when you execute a search warrant, you bring somebody from the State Board of Accounts?
Not in any of the cases that I've worked.
Not in
except-
all the 29 years you've worked at the state police, have you ever taken anybody from the State Board of Accounts in on a search warrant?
Not me personally, but this isn't the first time that someone's from State Board of Accounts has been.
Okay, but there's at least 7 to 8 people going into that house, correct?
Correct.
Now, who was in charge of that search? You?
Lieutenant Jeff Herring.
Okay, so Lieutenant Herron's the one giving the orders.
Correct.
And that's how it works in your office.
That is correct.
Okay. And when Lieutenant Herron, he would have assigned, because it's a large house, isn't it?
It is.
How many rooms?
I do not know.
More than 10?
Yes.
Okay. Finished, unfinished?
Most of it was finished with the exception of the basement area where the dogs were at.
Okay. And what you had for the request of the search warrant were for clothing. Is that correct?
Clothing and documents and receipts associated with those clothing.
Okay. Well, I notice in the return of the search warrant, there isn't anything listed where you got any of this material. In other words, let me look you and see if you could refresh your recollection and tell me on item 2000, where'd you get it?
I didn't fill out this. I didn't collect any clothing. I didn't fill this out.
Well, let me understand something. You got all these people in there to search a house, correct? Lieutenant Herron is in charge, okay? And you go to a closet to get something. Don't you document where you got it, how you got it? Take a picture of it?
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell me from that return, tell the court what a return is?
A return is a document that's completed by law enforcement after they execute a search warrant to notify the court of what items were taken during that search.
Does it also supposed to indicate to the court where they came from?
I do not, in my 29 years, I don't believe so. If
You've
it is,
never put
if it is,
on-
you've educated me today.
Okay, you've never put on anything in a search warrant where it came from? Like
On a search warrant or search warrant return?
return.
On a search warrant return, I've never put anything in there about where something was recovered from.
So it's up to the court to, or anybody, we have to guess. Wonder where you got that.
Well, from that document you would, but there's a police report that should identify then where those items were found.
But I'm only looking what you file with the court to return.
Okay.
So the court doesn't have any idea where you got any of this stuff, does it?
With that document,
Yes, sir.
with the exception of 3001 Old Tay Bridge, you're correct.
Okay. And that is true for every item that you seize that day. There's no indication where it came from.
Well, I mean, I can look at it again, but I didn't complete that document and I didn't seize any evidence.
Okay.
So
But somebody did.
Right.
And somebody's required to fill out a return that says, A, where they got it, what it was. Is that correct?
So this document that you have here for me to look at is an Indiana State Police Property Record Receipt Form,
Okay.
which is where you put the item down that you give the item and number,
Okay.
and then you give a description of items submitted, which is right here.
Right. But you
And
don't
that's
give
what-
any
That's
description.
what these are, but there's nowhere on this form for anyone to put, unless you, I guess you could write in that you found this item here, this item there, but this form is for items submitted.
Sure.
Inventory.
Yeah, and it would be helpful to know where you got it, wouldn't it? In a large house with all these items.
Certainly it'd be helpful, but that's going to be documented in a police
Well,
report.
it'd be technical,
For me,
wouldn't it? It'd be very helpful to be technical and say exactly where I got something and what it was, correct?
correct, on a police report, that's what would be there.
So you've got 7 to 8 people going through this house. And Lieutenant Herron is the one that directs where you go. Is that correct?
I mean, there's discussion in advance, like, okay, we've got this house to search. We have a crime scene technician that's going to photograph everything, and then we're going to just kind of communicate and go about it in an organized fashion. And I said, I will go to the basement.
Very often what you do, don't you, is you go to a location, you see a piece of evidence, then the crime scene technician takes a picture of what evidence you found. Is that right? Is that correct?
Well, yes, but like in this case, the crime scene technician took photos prior to the
I
search.
understand that.
Then the search is conducted, item is found, you notify the crime scene technician who comes down and photographs that item and then ultimately collects it.
Did he photograph then every item where it was located?
Every item that's on that list,
Yes.
I do not know the answer, sir.
Okay. So we don't have a series of pictures that you know about that would document where the clothing was. Correct?
Each item of clothing, I can't say that, no. I do not know the answer to that.
Okay. And what room did you go to and who was with you?
I went to the basement, as depicted in the state's exhibit there.
State's exhibits.
And I don't remember who went with me initially.
What was your role?
Just to look for Tom James suits and apparel. I was provided with a list of items with serial numbers next to them that was to be compared to the, say for instance, we find a box of shoes that came from Tom James.
There's his wife.
The number on that box. And
I
we
guess
tried to
that's
compare
his
that
other
number
daughter.
to the list that was provided to me by Lieutenant Jeff Herron. And those were the items that he would then want to seize.
And you indicated that our client, Mr. Noel, was there and directed you into a particular location, correct?
Correct?
Okay. Take a look at the picture that's up on the screen. That's our state's exhibit
There's a cowboy hat,
3.
and there's a white box they're
Is this
talking
one the room
about.
you went into?
I guess you could say it is a room. It's a downstairs.
Is it
It looked like
part of
he's
the
a pack
unfinished
rat.
Part of that house.
There, to the right of that is a movie theater.
Okay. Which you would say would be a furnished room.
I mean, there's a chair, a table in there that's furnished, so it is furnished. The walls look like, I don't recall, but from the photo, the walls look like they're concrete.
Was the rest of that area as cluttered as this one?
No.
Okay. Would you call that a cluttered room? A lot of stuff in there.
I would say, no, I would not. I would say on top of the table, it's
Yeah.
cluttered, but
Yeah.
not.
It looked
that
like
room.
he's a pack
Pictures
rat.
hanging on the wall.
What about all
Porter.
those
I
boxes
see some,
over there to
well,
the left?
they're kind of stacked up. Certainly not as cluttered as what's on the table.
Correct. What are in the boxes on the left?
I don't recall. I believe those are the shoe boxes.
Did you go through those?
I'm sure I did.
You don't know?
I don't remember.
Okay. What's all the stuff underneath it?
Don't know. Various items.
Okay. And you said that on top of the table was clothing, shoes, a number of pairs of cowboy boots, a hat, all kinds of things there. Is that correct?
I don't believe I said there was clothing items on top of the table. I don't recall if there was clothing items. Certainly there's footwear. There were belts.
You don't know what any of this is underneath the hats?
No.
Okay. Did you go through these boxes? How about this black box here? What was in that?
I don't recall.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Did you make an effort in your search to go through every box in that room?
Yeah, so ultimately, after I found that firearm, a gentleman from the State Board of Accounts came down at some point, and someone else, I left the area and went upstairs. And they continued to search by comparing the numbers.
So the State Board of Accounts is searching now.
Everyone's searching, as we've talked about.
You don't know how long you were in here.
I don't remember.
Now, as I understand it, Mr. Noel told you to go in this room, correct?
Well, I mean, he didn't really say you need to go in this room. He said there are some items here.
Well, he's trying to be helpful to you by saying there may be some items. You've told him what you're looking for, and he's indicating where you could go. Correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you indicate that one of the items that you were looking for was in that box.
I did not.
It just happened to be that you went to that box.
I ultimately ended up going to that box as I was searching that area. I pulled that chair out, and there this box is that has two boxes in it that say Smith & Wesson, which I'm familiar with as being firearms.
Is that the way the box looked on State's Exhibit?
Yes,
Exhibit 4?
I believe so.
For the record? Okay. All right. And the stuff on the box, or the stuff above the box, was the same kind of stuff that we'd seen at a different angle from State's Exhibit that had been previously shown to you?
Yes.
Correct. All right. Now, let me ask you, where was Mr. Noel when you were in that room?
I think he had left the residence at that point.
Are you sure?
Pretty confident he had.
Okay. Are you the only one down there when you're searching? Are you the
Not
only
through
individual?
the whole entire event that I was down there searching, no.
Okay. All right. When was the state police searching in that house before?
I believe August 16th.
Okay. And what were they looking for then?
Bank records.
Was the search previously that you were part of,
I was part of that search, yes.
that was done the same way? In other words, a number of people went through the house looking for all kinds of items.
Same thing, I got a call from Lieutenant Jeff Herron, said I need your body to assist me in searching.
All right.
And there were a number of people.
And that's what you did?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, you indicated that what you found in that box, it had nothing on top of the box, it just was there, correct? Just like these other boxes.
We're talking the box
The
here.
box right
Exhibit
there.
4.
That exhibit that's seeing.
Right, I
seen
believe
on
that
the screen.
depicts it how it was.
Okay. And so is that picture taken before you took the weapons out?
After.
So you take the box out, get the weapons, and then put the box back so they can take a picture?
Yeah, so, Your Honor, going through the search, initially there were photographs taken of the entire scene. Then we conduct the search. And as I'm searching, I pull the chair out and I look down and I see the boxes. I open it up, there's in fact a firearm there. Then I went up and notified Lieutenant Jeff Herron of that fact, as well as First Sergeant Merritt Toomey, who's our crime scene guy. We went back down, I pushed the chair back underneath, put the box back. I don't think I took anything out of the box. I think I pulled the chair out, looked, and was like, okay, there's firearms in here, and then pushed it back under, notified them, and then he took that photo.
My question to you is, does that picture show before the search or after?
That picture there, Exhibit 4, I believe is going to be after my discovery.
You had already discovered something, showed Lieutenant Herron, brought it back, put it back and tried to recreate the scene, and then had him take a picture?
I would like to answer that, but you say I brought it back. What do you refer to by that?
Did you bring the box up to...
No, I did not. I left it right where it was at. I went and got Lieutenant Jeff Herron,
Okay.
and he came downstairs.
And then when you pushed the chair back, that's when you had the photographer take a picture?
Correct.
Okay. The two boxes that you found inside the large white box, there were weapons in there?
They were, yes.
Unloaded, I think you testified on.
I believe they were.
Correct?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. What was their condition?
I think they were brand new.
Well, this is the ex-sheriff, Jamey Noel, in court, I think on Tuesday. This is a 2-hour video. I'm going to break it up in 2 parts. So let's get back to my young people.
They appeared to be. They were in the box that comes from the manufacturer. It appeared to be.
Well, matter of fact, they thought you had a receipt, didn't it? Show when it was purchased.
I did not. I don't know the answer to that.
Did you ever look through that box when you turned it over to Lieutenant Herron to find out when they were purchased?
I did not.
Okay. And you don't recall independently ever seeing a receipt in that box?
I don't think so.
Okay. What color were those Smith & Wesson boxes?
Black and white.
You never took a picture of those out of the box. You
No.
just left them in the box. In other words, you take them out of the box to photograph them that way.
Well, I personally, sir, I never took a photograph.
Okay. And you don't know what the technician did.
I do recall him taking the photos of those firearms out of the box when they were laid on the ground. After, kind of put it in order, I start my search, I pull it out, I see the firearm, open one up, there's a firearm, I immediately go upstairs, notify Lieutenant Jeff Aaron. He comes down with me as well as First Sergeant Merritt Toomey. We put it back like that and the photograph's taken. And then Lieutenant Jeff Herron makes the decision that those firearms are ultimately potentially going to be seized and they're photographed, taken out of the box.
But we don't have that photograph. The one that you show, or at least testified to, that their guns were taken out of the box, put on the floor, and then photographed.
I don't have that photograph with me, sir.
Okay, and we haven't seen that yet.
I've not seen it.
Okay.
I don't know if we have it or not, but
All right.
Hey, you! Stop what you're watching right now. If you drive your car less than 100 miles a day,
What is Larry doing in those
I'm going to get a
pictures?
new technician. I'm fired. He's fired. I'm fired. This is.
Did you not put those in?
I did not put that.
Oh, okay. You want me to take a picture and put it up?
No, I just had.
Okay. Yeah.
Officer, I'm going to hand you this remark for purpose of identification as defendant's exhibit now. And she's given it 1. Can you identify what's in that picture?
I see 2 Smith & Wesson firearm boxes, and I see 2 what appear to be Smith & Wesson firearms with 2 magazines, 2 boxes, 9mm Luger ammo.
Does that refresh your recollection of what you saw that day?
I believe so.
Okay, thank you. This time, Your Honor, we would offer defendant's exhibit 1.
No objection.
So defendant's exhibit number 1, admitted without objection. May I see it, Mr. Cole?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I'll give it right back.
You can keep it.
Well, thank you.
Officer, when you took a look at that picture, the 2 boxes that you previously identified that were inside the larger white box, did you recognize those as what you had seen that day?
That photograph that you just showed me certainly appears to be similar type items discovered by me on that date.
And so those boxes were inside the white box.
Correct.
And the weapons were inside the black boxes, which are the Smith & Wesson boxes that you testified to.
That is correct.
And I think the gun was in a cocked position to only show that it was not loaded. Is that correct?
Well, I mean, I don't know if that weapon has a hammer on it or not. I
Well, it
don't.
looked like it was an automatic.
Well, but I mean,
But did you look
I
at the
can't
gun?
tell from the photo if it was cocked. The slide was back on, which would be in a safe position.
Okay. Did you ever examine the weapons yourself?
I did look at them, and I do I don't remember 100% if I remember if the slide was back on them or not. But immediately notified Lieutenant Jeff Herron, and then he took over from there.
Okay. And the shotgun that you found was kind of standing up in that same room?
It was in a box,
Okay.
but in shot or barrel up.
Right. I don't believe any.
Officer Mitchell, could you come to the screen and show me where the shotgun was located?
I will, Your Honor.
Sorry to interrupt, Justin.
Your Honor, there may be another picture that shows it more accurately.
Okay.
Your Honor, this box right here, there's a cardboard box here.
Yes.
The lid is shut on it. On the day that I went, the 13th of March, this is the same box. These, they were opened up, and there was a shotgun sticking down inside right here.
All right. Mr. Hurley says there may be another picture that better shows it. Okay, thank you.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, people, I got a question. Will you keep your shotgun upstairs by your bed or something? Why would you keep it in the basement unless his wife got him sleeping down in the basement? You know, it's only my opinion. Let's get back to it.
Cross-examine or redirect, Mr. Hurdle.
Detective, how close were the shotguns to the two Smith & Wessons that you found?
3 feet, approximately. I didn't measure, but very close. Just take it.
That is one later.
Detective, I'm showing you State's Exhibit 2. The State's Exhibit 2, the black barrel, do you recognize that sticking out?
The shotgun barrel sticking out there, I do.
And I'm sorry, approximately how close is that to the chair with the boxes of Smith & Wessons?
A couple feet, 2 or 3 feet.
Arm's
approximately.
distance from you and I?
Yes.
That's it, Your Honor.
Anything else, Mr. Barr?
No, Your Honor.
Think you're excused.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Receive release.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Officer, I'll remind you not to discuss your testimony with anybody, nor allow them to discuss their testimony with you until this matter has been completed.
I understand, Your Honor.
Call your next witness.
Your Honor, State will call Merrick Toomey.
You may.
I can try and retrieve him when I step down.
Well, I think he was asked to step out.
There was a motion.
Thanks for using StreamYard.
Were you sworn earlier, officer?
Yes.
You were?
Yes.
I'll consider you under oath. You may proceed to the witness stand. Proceed.
Sir, would you state your name for the record?
Merritt Toomey.
And probably for the record, can you spell your first and last name?
First name's Merritt, Merritt. Last name's Toomey, Toomey.
Mr. Toomey, where are you employed?
Indiana State Police.
And what is your current position with the Indiana State Police?
I'm a first sergeant in the crime scene section.
I'm sorry, how long have you been with the State Police?
32 years and a few months.
And has it always been as a crime scene technician, supervisor there?
No, I started out as a road trooper. I was a detective, and then I was a crime scene investigator, and then just within the last year and a half, I became the supervisor.
Is it appropriate to call you sergeant or first sergeant? What's
I'll answer to either one.
Or Sergeant, were you asked to be a part of a search warrant on Tay Bridge on March 13th, 2024?
I was.
Who reached out to you originally?
That would be Lieutenant Herron.
Have you worked with Detective Herron in the past ever before or not?
On previous search warrants, I have.
Were you familiar with the residence on Tay Bridge?
It was my first time being there.
And what was going to be your role on March 13th of this year?
I was there to document the property.
Were you to collect evidence or photograph in any way, shape, or form?
I was photographing the property primarily until some evidence arose that needed to be collected.
I want to direct your attention to the basement area, and were you brought down to the basement area to look at, photograph, and collect some evidence?
I was.
And what sort of evidence was that?
There were 2 guns that were still in boxes. I'd have to refer to my notes to tell you the particulars.
Do you recall who directed you to those guns?
That would have been First Sergeant Mitchell.
Do you work with First Sergeant Mitchell much?
I do.
Did you photograph those guns?
I did.
Were they in a box or out of a box when you first saw them?
They were in the box that they came in from the company, and then both of those 2 boxes were inside of another cardboard box.
So they were in their manufacturer's box
Correct.
inside of another box.
Correct.
And you photographed those?
I did.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I'll make mistakes. 2, 3, and 4.
I think they're over there.
We do not have trademark.
I apologize. The court has possession of it.
I'm showing you what's already been admitted as states 2, 3, and 4 were those photographs that you would have taken on March 13th of the area where the 2 guns were located.
Yes.
And would that have been prior to you personally looking in the boxes, or post you looking into the boxes?
These would have been prior to me looking in the boxes.
Okay. And then, Your Honor, if I could have states 5 also. Oh, I'm sorry, it's defense 1.
That I believe is with.
Oh, here it is.
Your Honor, I promise, I'm not going to hold on to anything.
States Exhibit 1, would you have taken that picture with the guns out of the box then?
Yes, I did.
Thank you.
Give him the court reporter so I don't lose him.
You collected those items, First Sergeant?
I did.
Were they taken to the Indiana State Police Post and have been kept in possession of the state police since that time?
Yes, sir.
Did you bring them with you?
I did.
If you could please get them out of their boxes, please. I'm going to put a sticker on it marked States Exhibit 5 for the first one, the one on top, and States Exhibit 6 on the bottom one. Have those been in continuous custody of the state police, you said, since March 13th?
Yes, sir.
Had they been altered or in any way, shape, or form?
I just sealed the box.
Okay, would you seal the box
Boxes.
on that day or another day?
These would have been taken to the post on the day that we collected them, put into secure storage, and then we would have packaged everything up another day.
Are they sealed currently?
Yes, they are.
Is that with an evidence tape or seal that the state police uses regularly?
Yes.
Is it a lot of trouble for you to unseal them?
You say to open it,
Open
and I
it,
will.
please. Let's start with States Exhibit 5. And I note that it's in some sort of blue plastic bag. Is that something you would have done, or is that how you found that?
No, this is the way they come from the factory.
Okay. Could you take State's Exhibit 5 out of the plastic?
I'm going to put it in a safe mode here.
Okay.
Okay. Gun is empty, so.
Does that
it's
gun appear to
secure.
be in basically the same condition as when you found it on March 13th?
Yes.
If you could please put it back in the box, and just for the record, if you could do the same thing to State's Exhibit 6, First Sergeant.
Actually, don't put it back in yet. I want to look at it before we put it back in.
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Boyle may want to.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, I'll let Mr. First Sergeant Toomey open that box while I show the Defense Counsel State's Exhibit 5.
It looked like Jamey Noel's kind of worried. You can tell by his face. Look how red his face is. He knows he's hung.
Could you make that gun also safe, First Sergeant, as well, the same as you did with State's Exhibit 5? And does State's Exhibit 6 appear to be in the same condition as when you collected on March 13th?
Yes.
If you could then please replace that back into the...
I say the
plastic
judge
container.
knows his
I'll allow
weapons.
the Defense Counsel to review that as well.
Officer Toomey, was this fingerprinted, or did you intend to have it fingerprinted, or
No, sir.
anything? So it's acceptable to touch?
Yes.
Without contaminating it?
Correct.
If you could put it in the box, First Sergeant. Your Honor, counsel for the defendant has indicated there's no objection to State's Exhibits 5 and 6. So the state would move to admit those items.
So State's Exhibit 5 and 6 admitted without objection. Thank you.
Your Honor, I have no other questions for First Sergeant Toomey.
Mr. Boyle?
Please, the court, Your Honor. Thank you. First Sergeant, I don't know, do your records show the serial numbers on those two weapons? Do you have that?
Yes.
Let's look at the first exhibit that you have there.
Did you know? Paying your bills on time raises your credit score, right? Wrong. In fact, this is the...
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are you familiar with the Indiana State Police property record and receipt form?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are you the one that fills it out, or does that then filled out by Lieutenant Aaron?
No, I took them into evidence, so I would have filled it out.
Okay, perfect. I'm looking at item number 2055.
Yes, sir.
It said that's a sealed cardboard box containing a Smith & Wesson MP Shield semi-automatic handgun. Does it have a serial number?
It does.
And what is that, sir?
H as in Henry, N as in Nora, H as in Henry, 8324.
Okay. And there's another item on there, a 2056.
Yes, sir.
Does that would be an indication of another weapon that was found?
Yes.
And that would also be listed as a Smith & Wesson MP Shield semi-automatic handgun?
Correct.
Does that have a serial number?
It does.
And what is that, sir?
H. Henry and Nora J. John 5682.
Now, when you fill out these property record and receipt forms, do you ever indicate on there where the item was found?
When necessary, yes.
Okay, can you tell me from that form, to refresh your recollection, does that show where those items were found?
On there, I just have from the basement, from the Noel basement.
Okay, no specific indication it was on the table, in a box, none of that, correct?
Well, we use complementary things. The photographs work in tandem with the description of
Okay,
things.
but if you just had this, you wouldn't have any idea where it was found, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Let me ask you this, were you present on the August search?
The August search, the first? No, sir.
You were not there, okay. I'm going to hand you what's been marked for purpose of identification is Defendant's Exhibit 2. I think Mr. Hurdle has no objection, and ask you to take a look at this, would you, please? Tell us what that is, if you can discern it from the exhibit.
It's a receipt from Midwest Gun Exchange Incorporated from Mishawaka, Indiana.
What's it dated?
The date is 10/28/2017.
Okay. Does it have a list of serial numbers of weapons purchased?
Yes.
And would those two serial numbers that were purchased from the Mishawaka gun store in 2017 be the same as the two weapons that you previously identified in the state's direct examination?
I don't have them memorized. I'd have to look at them
You
again.
certainly can. You've got the weapons, you've got the receipt, so go right ahead.
HNJ 5682 matches this one.
Okay.
HNH 8324 matches the other one.
Okay, so the receipt showing the guns were purchased in Mishawaka in 2017 is supported by the identification both on the receipt and on the weapons with the serial numbers. Is that right?
Correct.
Let me ask you, you testified on direct examination, something that you noticed was the fact that it was in a manufacturer's packaging. What does that mean?
This box, this is what it came in.
Okay, and what about the blue kind of cellophane item that you had the weapon stuck in inside the box? What does that tell you?
That's the way I found it inside of the box.
So it would appear that that weapon had not been used and never out of the box since it was manufactured, or at least was purchased?
I can neither confirm nor deny that.
Okay.
It looks to be in good shape, but
Okay. Do you have the receipt? Or did you put it in the box here? There you go. No problem. I've got to give this to the court or I'll get spanked here.
Thank you, Mr. Rhodes.
You're welcome, Your Honor.
do you need these anymore?
No, sir. You can put them back. All right. And how many people were doing that search, do you remember, at the house that day for going through the house?
There was multiple people there. I couldn't tell you an exact number.
You went to the room where the guns were found, is that correct?
I went through the whole house, so I was in each of the rooms.
I want to ask you a question about the particular room where the guns were found in a second, as soon as we get it up on the screen. Taking a look, First Sergeant, at State's Exhibit number 3, did that appear to be the way the room looked when you were there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And where did you believe the guns were found? Can you show us from your observation here?
You can see the side of the white cardboard box.
This what
Yes.
I'm pointing to? Okay. And was the table in this array as you saw it that day? All kinds of other items on that?
Yes, sir.
Does it appear that that's been there for a while? That all those items have kind of been discarded down there?
That's a possibility.
What could look like somebody's not using that room a great deal, correct? Because they've got a lot of stuff on the table. It's not like it's being used every day.
I've been in a lot of different houses in a lot of different states, sir.
Well, they all don't look alike, do they?
Correct.
This looks crowded, correct?
Correct.
All right. I don't believe I have anything further. Thank you very much.
Redirect?
No other questions of this witness, Your Honor?
And I'll show Finn's exhibit number 2, and then
No objection to the receipt that was provided by the defense, Your Honor.
Correct.
Is this staying with the court or going back with me?
They've been admitted.
Officer Toomey, did you examine the shotgun?
Examine it?
Yes.
We just took a cursory look at it because he was allowed to have
I
that.
understand. Was it loaded?
I'm not the one who looked at it.
Do you recall who was?
No, sir.
Do you know what kind it was?
It was a police model, but
Most likely a 12 gauge.
yes, sir.
You keep a shotgun for personal protection in the basement in this crowded area? Feel free to object to anybody. Is that where you'd keep one?
That is not where I would keep it, sir.
Only if you're living in the basement.
There you go.
All right. Court has no further. That prompts questions from either side.
Not on the court's question, John.
No, Your Honor.
Officer Toomey, thank you. Is he released from his subpoena?
Yes, Your Honor.
You're free to go. I'll remind you, do not discuss your testimony with anybody. Do not allow anybody to discuss their testimony with you until this matter is completed.
First Sergeant, I believe the guns need to stay.
Yes. Who do I give them to?
Miss Lowell.
Generally.
Hi, Miss Collada. Do we need to take a break? A break, 3 o'clock. We'll be off record.
Achieve perfect eyesight with these brilliant glasses.
So, you would keep your guns in the basement, would you? I wouldn't. So, we at 1 hour mark. So,
Millions of people in the world
so
wear
it'll
glasses.
come
But what
back
happens when the prescription changes? The only option.
to part 2. So everybody needs to take a break. I need to go take a break. I come back with part 2. because I didn't want to keep it going because, you know, you don't have your popcorn or anything like that. So that way I give you all a bathroom break and all that. Hit the thumbs up. Subscribe. If you watch the video, please subscribe to my channel. So I'll see you in a few minutes. I'm going to take a break.